technically possible, but could scale without rare earth magnets.
So I worked through most of the big companies and always into product development.
When I joined, there were 40 people. Now we are 350 people.
Dedicated towards work, what you just did at Jendamark was really important.
So one fine day when he called me, I was always there. When I call him, he's always there. It's the trust which is necessary in...
Right? So we don't have to educate anyone. People are feeling the pain.
Hi everyone, this is Divya Thakkar, the editor at Humans of EV, and your host for the show Fireside Chat with Divya. Today, we are talking about a breakthrough that could redefine how the world moves, like quite literally. So, joining us are two visionaries: CEO of Jendamark, Mr. Himanshu Jadhav, the man who turned a struggling unit into a global automation powerhouse at Jendamark India, and Mr. Manish Seth, founder of Volektra, who dared to remove the one thing that we thought was irreplaceable in electric motors. You guessed it right, the rare earth magnets. So, their companies have just signed an MOU to industrialize a new kind of motor that doesn't just change the products, it challenges the geopolitics, the efficiency norms, and the supply chain dogma. So, let's dive into this magnetic shift. Welcome, Mr. Himanshu and Mr. Manish, to the show. Glad to have you here.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Thank you for
everyone.
the
Thanks,
introduction.
Divya. Thanks, Divya.
Hi, Manish.
Hi, Himanshu.
Okay. So, starting with my first curious question, it's for you, Mr. Manish. So, you're building motors without the rare earth magnets, and that sounds almost like breaking a law of physics. But this idea must have started somewhere. Was there a particular moment when you, looked back at it, the global EV landscape, and thought that this dependency that we have on China, it's not a sustainable option, and you're going to do something about it?
Yeah, thanks. Very good question. So, just to tell you, we are making the motors not only without rare earth magnet, it's just without magnets. And I'll tell you later during the interview what's the difference. So, and the idea originated, not because of any strategy or a good plan. It was just a personal issue which we faced. So when we started Volektra, we were working on also on magnet-based motors. And during COVID, one of our shipment got stuck in Shanghai for 2 months, around 2.5 months. And at that point in time, we were very helpless. And I don't like being helpless. So we decided that we need to go out of that. And just to solve our own problem, we decided to, look at something to get rid out of this magnets. And at that point in time, the eureka moment was that if we are suffering, because of this, at some point someone else will suffer, so you should not be over dependent. And that's where the whole genesis of this idea came through. That was around 4 years ago.
So I think for you it was more like an early wake-up call. And I think most of the people in the industry right now are suffering because of the same issue that you faced 4 years back.
Yes, that's right. And I think it's what we faced was not man-made, at least I can say that. But this is something which is because of the geopolitics and all of the issues around the world which are happening. And we have been trying to educate, the whole industry about it. But as everyone says, you dig the well when there is fire, and that's what is happening right now.
Yeah, it's a very famous saying though. Everyone I believe has been listening to it since childhood. So yeah, I think at this point of time, the chokehold that China has created on us is going to be a problem. We've read news about certain companies, halting their production because of the same supply chain issue that they're facing. So I think this breakthrough would be of a lot of, use in the future.
Yes, definitely, and that's the thing which we are working towards. With our technology, you are not dependent. We are not only solving the environmental issue. We are not just solving the technical issue. We are also solving a major supply chain issue. And so it's a mix of a lot of getting a autonomy, and it could also be a strategic autonomy. So that's the overall theme where we are working towards.
Okay, so Mr. Himanshu, your story began on the Tata Motors factory floor and led to a transforming of a modest Indian unit into Jendamark's India's automation epicenter. So, what was the hardest leadership lesson that you carried from the car plant to now steering, a cutting edge manufacturing for the next gen tech?
Yeah, I had an interesting start to my career. I started as a GT in Tata Motors back in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I moved to Volkswagen. And that's when actually I also met Manish. And 2008 to 2016 is when I was in Volkswagen. I think over all these years, and maybe it is irrespective of any business or any area, the most or three most important things which are like a leadership lesson to me is it is people, purpose, and passion. These three things have to be aligned, and these three things are fundamentally equally important over the period of time in any business. So you need good people to deliver. You need a good team. Basically, that's a whole people focus which needs to be there. Then you need a good purpose, what you really want to achieve with those people.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, after that is when you need a passion, because only people and purpose will not deliver results. You need passion to deliver those results. So for me, the hardest thing has been always getting the right mix of people, passion, purpose to make sure that the business results are met. And that is something which we are constantly striving for. That's like I said, one of the first leadership lessons I learned and which I've carried forward from Tata's, Volkswagen's, and into Jendamark.
Mm-hmm.
The second, which if I look back now, is whatever we are doing, whatever we have done in Jendamark and what we will do in Jendamark is always taking risks, uh, getting into areas where most people would, let's say, not want to venture,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is building, or we are the only company which builds India's only catalytic converter assembly lines, or we were the first ones who built India's first battery pack lines, uh, developing our own software solutions. So we take risks, and to take risk, you have to be ready to accept failures.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have always said is Jendamark is actually laid on a foundation of failures. So and that's because we take a lot of risks. And it's only this risk-taking abilities which we have, which also helped us to take this decision of partnering Volektra and Manish to develop this kind of a manufacturing solution. And then that's also the reason why we started this venture or MOU with Volektra.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the third, I would say, is our forward-thinking mindset. So we are always looking what's going to happen in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I think any company which can look, or furthest which you can look further, is the one which will be successful. Like Manish said, he did something 5 years back.
Yeah.
Whether he knew it would create an impact in 2025, it
Mm-hmm.
didn't matter, but he started a journey in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
That's something which is very harmonious to our way of thinking as well. That while now the guys in manufacturing are talking about AI, for example,
Yeah.
we have already solutions implemented with AI. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the forward thinking mindset which separates, I think, great companies from good companies.
Mm-hmm. Great. So I think, in a gist, it's all about, people, passion, purpose, along with a forward-thinking, ability, or that, that lens through which you can actually, see what the future is to bring. And also, I think it would come with the kind of solutions that you're bringing to the table. Let's say, every solution or every product arises out of a problem that is existent. So I
Correct.
think which is what happened here.
True.
So, Mr. Manish, you've been inside the innovation kitchens of Volkswagen, Ford, and others, and now you're building something from scratch. So, what was the time when you knew that Volektra's virtual magnet, motor wasn't just technically possible, but could scale without rare earth magnets and compete with the industry giants?
Yeah, great question. So, like Himanshu told, uh, I also started as a GT in Tata Motors, and then went to Volkswagen, then
Okay.
went to Ford and GM. So I
Mhm.
worked through more or less, most of the big companies and always into product development. My attitude had been that of engineer, even though, now I'm running a company and did MBAs and all of that.
Mhm.
But the whole idea and instinct was to implement new technologies, into automotive world.
Mhm.
And the challenges are, that you can make a technology. The main challenge is how do you want to scale it? Because you can make one part, two parts, that's easy. It's not a big deal. But to make millions of those with the right quality, which go with automotive and other industry is the challenge. And that also brings us to the MOU which we signed with Gendermark, because they are expert in doing that.
Mhm.
And the idea is not only with the motor, but also the machine that makes the machine is the cool, the great thing.
Yeah.
So, to your question, when we realized whether it would work or not is, we took a leap of faith because we were suffering from problem, right? So we had to do something. If that problem of getting magnets stuck in Shanghai was not there, we would probably not have worked and made one of the another, incrementally improved magnet-based motors.
Mhm.
But when we started, we had no idea whether this will work or not. First of all, because first of all, the concept was new,
Mhm.
and if there is a new concept, how do you design it? Because all the tools which are available to do this design, they do what is already there, right? Not
Yeah.
something new. So we have to
Mhm.
build everything from scratch.
Mhm.
So the first thing was, I also built up a team of very good engineers, and passionate people. So it started with hand calculations, working, some hunch that it would work. But in 2022, or I would say late 2022, early 2023, that was the first moment where we made a prototype.
Mhm.
Uh, it looks like an alien. It does, it's a prototype. But the first thing was, and my team, I had told that, I want to see the motor moving. The first thing was whether it will move or not.
Mhm.
And in early 2023, we saw by just making, one hand built prototype that it moves.
Mhm.
When that moved, at that point in time, I was convinced that,
Mhm.
the physics is okay, the tech is okay, and scalability, and competing with others was not a big challenge at that point in time, because we were working on something new. A lot of companies don't take that risk to do that. And then since the physics was working, the prototype was working, we knew
Mhm.
that by with our networks and with the experience which we bring from automotive OEMs, we will be able to scale it. So I would say early 2023, seeing the first prototype, show the physics work, was the plan, was the time when I realized, okay, it's time to, do all in, and this is going to work.
Mhm. So, like you said, that when you started off, you kind of took a leap of faith, and then you found people that were passionate about the same thing. So, how difficult was it to find people and make them believe into something that did not exist but was a good solution to a problem? Did you find yourself stuck at some point that you're not able to probably translate your vision, or others are not able to connect or understand your vision better?
Yeah, no, it was hard. It's not easy to find people, who just believe in something which has never been done.
Mhm.
But we have, I have been lucky enough in that for, so I cannot take credit of that. I've just been lucky enough to meet good people and keep those relations. And I think one of that's just a coincidence that if I find a person, it's easier to connect, and at some point in time, I keep those relations going, like we are doing as of today. Because one of the important thing is, like Himanshu also mentioned, people, right? People are important, and you don't know, everyone has some strengths, and you just need to look at what those strengths are and how you can build them together to make a cohesive, whether it's a company, a product, or whether it's a team. So it was hard to find people, and I have been lucky enough to find them, and to articulate the vision was not a problem, because we were always knowing that if you are dependent on something, if you have one source of, whether it's oil, whether it's rare earth magnets, or whether it's technology, it's going to have an issue. The articulation of vision was not a problem. The folks who are working here are technical folks, so they understood it and they took a challenge to make it work. And we are still in the process. We are not done yet. Whatever we are doing, there is at least 50% more to do.
Yeah, there's
So
always
that's
room for do better.
right.
Okay. So, Mr. Himanshu, you have also, you had also walked into a newly acquired Indian unit of a South African company and you turned it into an automation brand. So that's not just execution, it's like a cultural transformation. So what did you have to change first? The systems, the mindset, or the people?
I think first I had to change my own self, to be very honest, because like Manish mentioned, we both came from Tatas and Volkswagens, and to get into an area which we ourselves are not mentally prepared, or we have a set of expectations because we are coming from a different mindset, a different culture, uh, then get into an Indian manufacturing unit. I wouldn't even call it back then an automation unit, a manufacturing unit, and then work and build that company. When I joined, there were 40 people, and now we are 350 people. So over the journey, we have grown significantly. But I think it all starts with self belief. Uh, I think it was very important for me that I could instill self belief in the guys who were there already, and getting guys who would believe that it is possible to deliver world class lines in India. Because it was back then, it was never thought of that in India we could do world class assembly lines, barring couple of companies. But there always this mindset that the best lines for assembly automation in the world are always coming from Europe or China, and that was a big mental block. And to make everyone believe that no, it's possible in India, that self belief part I think was very important. That was the first step which I had to take, and like I said, get people on board who have that self belief. Second is pride in what you're doing. Because if you're not proud of what you're doing, whether it is, in a complex organization, you have people who are at different levels doing different jobs. Whether it is the guy at the security, whether it is the cleaning guy, whether it is a designer, manufacturer, assembler, operator, programmer, software developer, everybody is an important, for me, I look at them as spokes of a wheel. Everybody are important, and they all have to run together to make this wheel turn. And for them to do that, they have to feel proud in their work, what they're delivering for themselves first. If you're not proud of the work which you're doing, if you don't feel like I'm doing a good design, you will not create a good design. So that's was something that was very important for me, that they associate their work with a sense of pride. And we did a lot of cultural changes, to come to your question, to bring the same standard which was there in Jendamark, South Africa, in not just terms of technical, but in terms of cultural mindset. The policies and schemes which we run in Jendamark in India are same as in US, in Jendamark, or in Germany, or in South Africa. So we had to bring this culture of not just technology, but also human part of it to evolve as a company which can deliver world-class lines from India. And those two things for me primarily were self-belief and pride in what you do, which obviously we had all the technological support from the Jendamark South Africa team, because they are there since 1989, and we only entered India in 2014. So we had the wealth of knowledge always with us. It then started rolling out when there was self-belief and pride, that a lot of guys from our Indian entity went into South Africa, spent months and years there. A lot of guys from that side also came and spent a lot of time in India. There was a good mix of technical and cultural understanding, acknowledgement of the differences. I think it's very important to understand that we all try to say that technically it should be same, which is correct. But we also have to understand that to reach that technical equality, there is a difference in culture, which has to be acknowledged and accepted. And I was very happy that the board which we have in Jendamark as a group actually acknowledge the cultural differences. While we ensure the same standard of delivery, whether the lines are made in India, South Africa, Germany, wherever, but we acknowledge that the way they are going to be built with the culture
Mm-hmm.
might be different. So yes, you can have same standards and ISOs and documents, but you have to have this local flair to it to deliver to the whole world.
I think that's very important also because every region has a set of different motivational kickers that people have. So I think to match the whole scenario and let them be dedicated towards work, what you just did at Gendamark was really important.
And I think if I can add, Manish has missed, and he's been very modest about it. I know the amount of sleepless nights he has spent, which is not mentioned there, to create something which didn't exist. And I think that's an X factor which is not yet mentioned. But yeah, I can tell that because, and we have maintained our relation, although we may not talk regularly for
Mhm.
years, in fact, but we always had that people connect on both sides. So one fine
Mhm.
day when he called me, I was always there. When I call him, he's always there. And that's something which I think is the trust which is necessary in any business association, that you can have a transactional association, but like you guys also call yourself humans of EV, it's not about the EV technology, right? It's also the human part behind the
Human
EV.
part of
I
it,
think
yeah.
in any business transaction, apart from the commercial transactions and the technical transactions, we tend to ignore the human connect part. And I think that's one of the most important part, because that human connect part makes the commercial and the technical transactions easier.
Mhm. And I think that's the drive and how you rightly quoted that, I think that's the gist of real friendship and, real companionship. So you might not be talking to each other every day, but you've pulled a great leg together since I think 2004 that you mentioned that you guys know each other. So I think these are the kind of relationships that are important, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the big news. The MOU that makes Gendamark the preferred partner for the industrialization and scaling of Volektra's rare earth free motor production systems. So let's start with, why now? Why is this partnership not just a good idea, but a strategic necessity for both your companies and for the EV industry?
You go ahead first, Himanshu.
Okay, so I think why now? I think it is high time now, because, and like I said, we invested in each other's companies long before this MOU. We have been partners in executing projects since just post COVID, and also, so we, it's not that we started because of this thing. We have been talking about this. We have been talking about co-developing, co-nurturing, and I think it just happened that it just happened now. But to be honest, it's a coincidence that it happened now. It could have happened 1 year back. It could have happened 2 years back. It could happen 1 year later as well. So
Mhm.
that's why, from a technological standpoint of view, it's happened now. But from a business transactional point of view, it was already something would happen at some point in time, because we're always invested in what each other, which what of us what we have been doing. I
Yeah.
think from a gender mark perspective, it's one of our important ethos is to do a lot of collaborations and associations. We have
Mhm.
several collaborations with leading OEMs worldwide, whether it is Trump, Autodesk, Festos, SMC. So we have got Siemens. So we have got good collaborations where we tap into technological advancements happening across the world, not just in our own company, but across industry. Who's doing what is something which we are very keen and to associate at a very early stage.
Okay.
When that is the backbone, it's easier for us then, with the access to this technology, to provide latest technological advanced solutions as an
Mhm.
integrated package to companies like Volektra is looking out for, right? So we could understand that, okay, that's what they need. That's what we already know what's going to happen in the future. We can create and co-create this solution for our customers. And I think that's why for us, it's a very important strategic relationship, because it allows us to leverage what we have been talking of collaborations across the industry.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay,
Manish.
so Mr.
Yeah,
Manish, how does it say as per
yeah,
Volektra's viewpoint?
yeah. So, from our viewpoint, why now is, everyone now knows what is the issue with magnets, right?
Mhm.
So we don't have to educate anyone. People are feeling the pain. And when we see that people are feeling the pain, I could also relate to what we were feeling at 2022. So we want to now bring the technology as fast, or the product as fast as possible, to the market. We have done testing. We are working with OEM partners who are interested to bring it. So now the partnering with Jendamark, getting the manufacturing system in parallel ready until we go for the final leg of validation of the products is important, because that will help us to move things parallel faster, and
Yeah.
utilize this time and the sentiment, and help people and the industry as a whole to
Mhm.
pivot from the rare earth or the magnets altogether to
Mhm.
the virtual magnet motor. So I think that's the thing, because right now, the government policies, the sentiment of the industry, the pain threshold is something
Mhm.
is at the right point to for us to bring this product to the market, and that's why this partnership is pivotal to get that goal done.
If I can summarize, we have got the vaccine now. Back then, which was required for COVID, already with us in our stock.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay, and now people will be running for it, just
yeah,
like they did with the vaccine.
That's the whole plan.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, Mr. Manish, when we talk about this tech being rare earth free, so can you please explain what exactly makes this possible, and are there any performance or cost trade-offs that the audience should be aware of or understand?
Yeah. So as I mentioned in the beginning, when you say rare earth free,
Mm-hmm.
our technology is magnet free. We do not believe in any kind of magnets. So there are different kinds of magnets also. There are motors which are using magnets which are ferrite magnets. They are also rare earth free.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that with any of these technology, you do have either a on cost, that means the cost is higher, right? So you have a magnet based motor, and then you go with a new technology which is either ferrite based or any other reluctance based systems. You do a compromise either in physics, or if you
Okay.
want to change the physics or put something to make it work, then
Mm-hmm.
cost.
Okay.
However, coming from automotive industry, it's not easy to compromise on performance and cost.
Mm-hmm.
That's something which we know. So the design when we started was, and we have looked through all of these designs when we were trying to work on a solution. We have looked into switch reluctance motor, we have looked into AC induction motors, ferrite magnets, all of that. But none of that met our internal benchmark. So what
Mm-hmm.
we did was the technology here. There were two key points. One, on performance, it needs to meet the magnet-based motor performance. Then it is easier to convince to people, for a new technology. And
Mm-hmm.
the second was there should not be on cost. At the other end, you should get a cost benefit,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you use this technology or a product, you get a cheaper product. At the same time, you replace the magnet. So it's a win-win. That's our motto.
I see. Yeah.
And this is something which we have, and I have also worked in when I was working with OEMs. We have introduced technology which are cheaper and better, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone asks, how can something be cheaper and better? There has to be trade-off. The trade-off is the countless hours which people put. That is, no one realizes. It can be cheaper and better because a lot of people are working to make it that way, right? And the other thing is because, as I said, also it could be coincidence and luck that since our motor is majorly software defined, so there's a lot of electronics. The complexity is in electronics, the chips, and the software and firmware. Now,
Mm-hmm.
with AI and machine learning,
Mm-hmm.
the trajectory of electronics and chips and processing power has increased drastically, and that
Okay.
has helped us because those components have become cheaper, and now they allow us to run very advanced algorithms to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that our motor performs as good as magnet based motors, and some other technologies as well. So in a short answer, there are no compromises. There are some compromises. Let's say at certain operating points, the motor might not be as efficient as a magnet based motor, but this is something which we will solve over as
Right.
we go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's in a nutshell about the product.
Sounds like a too good to be true scenario.
Yeah, and it's not the first time I'm here with any technology. So we will see.
Sounds great. So, Mr. Himanshu, Gendamark is now going to industrialize this globally scalable motor tech from Volektra, right? So, from your automation lens, how different do you think is the designing for a rare earth free motor compared to a traditional one? And what's more challenging and what's more exciting for you here?
To be very honest, we don't see a huge difference in terms of a rare earth free, magnet free motor and a virtual magnet motor which Volektra has designed. It's not in terms of machines and equipments. I think what we are trying to do and what our approach is now already rolling in motion is creating what we call as building blocks. Because the challenge is it shouldn't be that our equipments and processes and systems which we put make the magnet free motor expensive, right? It defeats the whole purpose then. So our challenge is to create a very high speed and low speed flex line. So we want to have a flexible line which can have either high speed or low speed depending upon the customer volume and demand, flexible to cater to what is available with Volektra right now, but also what you already heard, what Manish wants to bring in the future. So it's not just creating a standard line for a standard volume for a standard product. It is inbuilt flexibility for volume, upway, downway, new products and new features which will be coming in and incorporating them. And all of this has to be done in a least expensive way and the least possible time. Because already we have got a lot of interest shown by right from big OEMs to investors and single owner owned companies as well for this motor. And the quicker we can bring such things in market, I think the better for everybody's benefit.
That's true. So again, like what you just said, so how does this partnership, the one that you have with Volektra and Gendamark right now, redefine the strategic autonomy for the countries and the companies who are looking to de-risk their supply chains?
I think if I understand the question correctly, I think autonomy is going to come inherently because you are going to have most countries now looking to make things for themselves. With the tariff wars going on, most company countries are looking for manufacturing their own product in their own country with their own people with the own technology they have. I think that's something which we see unfortunately happening. The free world trade is looks like it's a distant dream for now at least. So obviously these kind of technologies created allow those kind of manufacturing setups where it can be manufactured locally and serve the markets in case there are issues in tariffs, in case there is over reliance on a individual part coming from only a specific country or a company. So that democratization of mass production of a virtual magnet-free motor is the way forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I can also add, a little bit on that. Uh, so the philosophy is, design globally, make locally, and this has been our philosophy since day one. In the current scenario of, you see all the tariffs happening here and there, it fits perfectly. Again, we did not plan these tariffs. There is no there is no hand of ours in this, but it's just happening that we are here. So we want to utilize the business model. We have tested this business model with earlier technologies. So, the business model and the manufacturing model works. Like Himanshu said, we are making a motor which at a BOM level, at a bill of material level, is cheaper. Now we don't want to put conversion cost, the manufacturing cost, to make it more expensive because it's new. The volumes take time. And that's the strategic MOU will enable us to achieve, because we don't want to have more capex investment from people. It needs to be as similar. So then we have a winner. Now, in terms of de-risking the supply chain, what's the major component which companies our countries are dependent? That's magnet and rare earth magnets, right? So that was the idea that the moment we take out the magnet, you can make it anywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
now we're working with Jendamark. So we will make it, for example, in India. We are also discussing to make it in US because
Mm-hmm.
it will not make sense to import into US. I'm in US and we want to make it. Now with the presence of Jendamark across globe, it gives us a very strategic partner where we can try and focus and shift models to make sure that things are within the cost limit.
Yeah.
And the moment you take out magnets, you just make it. You have copper, you have aluminum, chips are available. You
Mm-hmm.
just do it. So that's how we see it. We are present in different continents. The tech is local,
Same.
so we can now just implement it and make it. It's only now a matter of execution.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Mr. Himanshu, my next question kind of clubs with this one, how Mr. Manish explained that you plan on, manufacturing these motors into India and in the US and everything else, right? So, we've seen that your operations grew by over, you know, multiplied percentage in the last 6 years. So how do you plan to scale this rare earth free line with the same speed? So let's say one of the strategies is manufacturing it in India and the US separately, so that you come down on the costs of importing or exporting these motors. So moving forward, what other strategies are you going to apply to this so that this rare earth free line accelerates with the same speed?
Okay, if I do that same speed, it will be slow. I can't take 6 years. I think it is a matter of 6 months, and I think that's what Manish is also expecting us to start. Let's say, if I can say, chewing out lines in 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea is already in place. Let's say the roadmap is clear. We have put a team already who's in the primary stage of providing concepts already, and the idea is to go, like I mentioned before, in building blocks, which
Mm-hmm.
means you have standard modules of the line ready,
Mm-hmm.
designed, and to an extent manufactured as a stock. And that's something very new and unique, which we will be doing in our automation industry, is to
Mm-hmm.
have almost ready to ship line in stock, because you're going to use building blocks. So it's like, you can, if you think of Lego blocks, you can take
Okay.
the blocks which are
Rub them
available
together,
and
and then you
create
have
a machine,
uh-huh.
right? And that machine can deliver, or that line built via Lego blocks can be customized to make 100 units a shift, or
Mm-hmm.
by adding such more such blocks, 500 units a shift. So, and some of those items, like I mentioned, will be kept ready as stock, so that we
Mm-hmm.
can quickly turn around a line, deliver a line as soon as we can. That is one second strategy, what you mentioned. Third is, we are also looking at options like, if you look at the IKEA model. So,
Mm-hmm.
so you show a line, but
Mm-hmm.
you actually ship it in small boxes to be assembled at a customer end, because then
Okay.
you reduce the shipping cost, transit times, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't have heavy manpower which needs to fly around the world. The
Mm-hmm.
idea should be, ideally, the customer himself should be able to set up the line. If not, with minimum influence of people traveling and some support from the local parties there, the line should be able to be set it up like you would do in an IKEA furniture store. You bring a box home, you set it up, and it's ready to use.
You
That's
come
that's
with a manual and you can, it's more like a
exactly.
DIY.
So you don't need a high expertise to set up a line in a foreign location, and
Mm-hmm.
it can be and should be done as much as possible locally. Third, which is my wish, I don't know, to be honest, whether it is commercially viable, we still have to look at it, is line on lease. I think it's very important that we need to think differently, which basically means move away possibly from the capex model of buying, investing in a line in one go. Think of options like, you have the softwares on subscription. Think of line
Mm-hmm.
on lease. So a line is like, you do your home loans, you stay in a home, but you pay EMIs. Think of an option commercially, which my finance teams are working on, is think of lines which can be leased out on a
Mm-hmm.
fixed annual sum, so that the initial investment goes down. So these are
Mm-hmm.
some ideas which we are dwelling about, how we should go up on this line, because I think the scale is going to be phenomenal. So we need to be ready for this scale with innovative solutions.
That's great. I think also in terms of controlling the cost, when you have these ready to ship models, ready to assemble models, I think it will also, do a great deal of quality control as well.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right, because uh, it's easier to do it when it's on a smaller modular scale than every time inventing a big complex line.
Yes, yes. Okay. So, Mr. Manish, we often talk about climate change and clean energy, but rarely about the supply chain resilience. So, can you give us an idea of how eliminating these rare earths from the motors will help both the planet and, the policymakers and the businesses in that front?
Yeah, and it's a good question again, bringing back to the point that supply chain
Mhm.
dependence is not talked about until, either a tariff hits or something else hits. But it's one of the major issue in the trade and the businesses, and a lot of cost goes into supply chain management, and there are a lot of companies which try to make it. Coming to the motors, and let's say rare earth minerals in general, right? So rare earth minerals are refined majorly in China, 90-95% are controlled there. If you are dependent totally on China
Mhm.
and it's coming only from one source, there are two or three things happen. One, you cannot guarantee the availability, first of all,
That's true.
right? So you are always having a premium on your inventory. You have to stock them because you don't know what will happen. So you
Mhm.
can't plan. There's a lot of cost which goes there.
Mhm.
Second is you cannot predict the price because it is in hand of someone else. So the price can go plus minus 20%, 30%. So you
Mhm.
cannot plan your business, your profit, your cash flows because you don't know what's the price is going to be. And it is very sensitive to global things. If there is a political situation, the price can go up and the businesses suffer, which is happening today.
Yeah, especially
And
in
then for yeah,
Yeah, sorry, especially in India when the market is so cost sensitive that the customers would again go a step back in the adoption as soon as they see the prices going up.
right, right. And that's the thing. It happens. So that helps. That's the business dilemma, right? And then for policymakers, they don't know where to make the policy because if the policy is to push electric vehicles to make
Mhm.
it available and give subsidies, incentives, but suddenly the key component, the magnet is gone, the whole policy goes away. So
Yeah.
the inherent risk is predictability, that you cannot guarantee the availability and at a price.
Mhm.
So if you take out magnets, it's not only about EVs. I mean, we are talking about EVs, but motors are going everywhere, right?
Yes.
It's robots, it's drones, it's missiles everywhere.
Mhm.
So think of it like that. If you are dependent on these for these critical things on one of the company, it's a recipe for disasters at certain point in time. So you need to get rid of that. You need to invest and build technologies which are getting rid of it, having the same performance, and that's the key item.
Mhm.
So I think the making availability at a predictable price is
Mhm.
what helps businesses, customers, policymakers, and that's something specifically with rare earth minerals. Earlier it was oil, now it's rare earth minerals.
So it's like we need to kind of take that pull the plug away kind of power from one of the elements
Entity.
that is controlling everything.
Yeah, it's monopoly, right?
Yes.
And you have anti-monopolistic laws everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a global monopoly, and countries are working. Europe and US are working on it. India also needs to pick it up. They are also trying, but I guess there is an idea of having different technologies, which can support. And you will need rare earth minerals for batteries. There is no technology which is taking it out. So the idea how we think is we take it out of the motor, keep it, and use it for batteries where you want to use it. But if you don't want to use it, just don't use it here. If you have a tech, use it for where it is needed.
So more efficient way of using a resource that is
Exactly.
scarce. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, anyway, so let's zoom out a little bit. So let's say it's 2030 and this MOU has matured into a long-term partnership. What does the motor landscape look like? are rare earth-free or let's say magnet-free motors now standard in two-wheelers, EVs, drones, and even beyond automotive?
I think that's our plan. So, the PMSM motor, what will happen? Effectively, this is going to happen. The
Mhm.
supply chain would be probably solved in some time, not to the extent where it was, but it will be solved. So the magnets will be made available. Governments are working on it. But there is this, the axe is always going one way or other. It will always come back. Now, in 20, our idea is that a significant portion of the motor mix of
Mhm.
automotive, of drones, robots, or wherever the motors are, a
Mhm.
significant portion, at least 20, 30%, should come
Mhm.
from the technology which we are working. And then it increases over time. Think
Mhm.
like this, you had initially AC induction motor, which
Mhm.
Nikola Tesla made. Then you
Mhm.
have the magnet-based motor,
Yes.
right? Those are the two technologies. And then you
Mhm.
have some others which are coming, switch reluctance motors and
Mhm.
other axial flux motors. They will also be part of the mix. But the
Mhm.
fundamental technology which we are building can be applied to each of these motors which want to increase the performance. So our
Okay.
technology will permeate through the ether as you see and go into each one of that with
Mhm.
a certain chunk still being contributed with the motors which we will be making through this MOU or future whatever the way it looks like, but would be a significant portion.
So, Mr. Himanshu, I would also like you to contribute here. How do you envision this scenario?
I think we all would like to be more sustainable. And I think everybody is pushing in that direction of sustainability, which one of the key factors is less rare earth materials. And
Yeah.
while I mean, if I look back 20 years back, thinking of living in a era where emission norms are so stringent was unheard of. We did
Mhm.
not think that back in 2000, early 2000, that there will be an emission Bharat Stage 6 with such strong emission laws and even getting better now further. But it has evolved and we are living in this world already. So I
Mhm.
think the rate of change of technology is going to be there. Either it's going to be policy made, geopolitical made, or conscious made because we all want to live in a better world and leave a better world for our future generations.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a driving factor for sustainability point of view to go away and steer away from uh, more hazardous processes and material. So I think this is one way of doing it, and I'm sure this is going to uh, expand significantly in the coming years.
All right. So, what's your message to the young engineers, founders, and the manufacturing leaders who are watching this space, looking at all of this evolving, tech and the magnetary motors and their its applications everywhere? And what message would you like to give it them that is now the time to build the next layer of clean tech manufacturing infrastructure?
So maybe I can answer this question in two separate sections. So my first section will be on the technological side, and then on the people side probably. I
Mhm.
think on the tech side, definitely now is the time to jump. Now
Yeah.
it's the time to take, like Manish mentioned, leap of faith. Right now is
Mhm.
the time to start thinking, and like I said, not just in terms of magnet-free motors, but like you rightly mentioned, all different kinds of clean tech, whether it is uh, serious use of hydrogen in mobility or any other alternative to lithium ion battery. I think deep tech is something which needs to be invested on a product side.
Mhm.
Same way, what we also have to do in the automation world is think of smarter ways of assembling products,
Mhm.
solving the customer's problems, which are not limited to only today assembling product. I think
Yeah.
that's a very crude way of thinking that what does an assembly line do is assembles products. I think what we also look and when we design lines, we solve not just the problem of assembling a product, but solving is issue of contract labor, solving the issue of unskilled labor, using our technology of Odin manufacturing to solve these problems,
Mhm.
using 3D printing in mass production. So there are
Mhm.
many ways of innovations which need to be done and thought of how to bring, because like we keep saying that it doesn't make sense to bring clean tech but using the equipment and processes which are actually not up to that mark. So you can't really have clean tech being made and using technology which uses the crude way of doing things. So we also have to evolve with the clean tech. So while the product side has a challenge which needs to be addressed, we are also addressing a challenge in mass productionization and industrialization of the clean tech. That's on the technical side. Uh, Slightly deviating probably on the human side, I think, and especially if I can say with all honesty about Gen Z, I think my journey with Gen Z has swayed around a bit. So initially, when we have a lot of youngsters, our average age is still I think under 30 still in Jendamark in India at least. So I think it's important to understand for the young generation today that while the access to someone else's technology is easily available because of AI, chat GPTs, etc., innovation will still be human centric. And I think that is something which is needs to be embedded in people's Gen Z's heads, that they have to put in hard work and then they think of smart work. The reversal doesn't happen. You can't just think of smart work without hard work.
That's true.
Right? And that investment in your own self to create and find your own self, your own solutions, your own way of writing a sentence also or an email also is essential if you want to succeed. That's my simple message to all the guys in Jendamark and also whom I meet and address some colleges, that you can't do away from hard work. And I think, and for founders like myself, Manish, we are not ones who dreamt in the beginning, at least, that we started as jobs. We are employees in big organizations. Uh, we are here where we are right now is because we took risks. We dared to be different. We took risks. We accepted failures on the way, and we moved on and we keep moving on still. We haven't even, I feel honestly, we haven't reached the pinnacle of what we can deliver, but we keep doing what we are doing and accepting success and failures as they come our way. So that's my message to the founders and the CXOs or the manufacturing leaders is dare to be different, be ready for failures, and keep moving on.
And Mr. Manish, what is your take on it?
Yeah, so I echo what Himanshu said. From my side, my advice would be if you believe in a problem, either you have suffered it or you have seen it, and if you can reason from first principles, and if you can convince yourself, first of all, honestly yourself, not for showing it to someone, but if you can convince yourself that it is going to work, then give it all what you have. Don't get distracted with big companies, announcements, million, 100 million, investments, and all those are immaterial. You need to make, if you are convinced that this will work on it, prove it to yourself first, and then go and collaborate with people, like-minded people, and there are people who will help you. If you come to us, if someone comes to us, we will try to help. We want to give it back. And then once you have something which gives a tangible benefit to the customer, right? And I would say, whenever you think about tangible benefit, always think about cost. Not everyone can be Apple or Tesla that people will pay. And a lot of companies think that we will make a product like people will pay. No, you have to give a right value. But if those things are there, focus, execute, deliver, and people say that you need to be at right place at the right time. I would say you be at the right place and wait for the right time.
Right time.
Right? So just keep doing what you think if you are convinced, and that's the only way to do it. Otherwise, you will get so much distracted that you cannot move ahead, and it will be difficult. But that's why it matters. Who are you partnering with? Who's in your team? So those are the things which I would suggest to do. And if you are into hardware and clean tech manufacturing, it takes time. You cannot make a $1 billion, $2 billion company in 6 months, right? And on the other side, what goes fast up can also come down fast. So build a solid foundation and then jump from there.
So I think, yes, what you said rightly, that once you're convinced, it becomes that much easier to convince others. So I
Right.
think, yes. So I think an essential message would be to, try convincing yourself of what you're doing.
Correct. Yes.
So I think we've had a little bit of a heavy. So it's just time for a very small rapid fire round. So I would request you to take quick picks, and an explanation is not really needed unless you really want to, right? So starting with you, Mr. Manish, the most underrated impact of rare earth free motors are A. Energy efficiency, B. Supply chain resilience, C. Cost predictability, or D. Political autonomy.
I would go with political autonomy.
Okay, any reason why?
Yeah, because all the three other things are, on the top. Efficiency is something which you will, without that you cannot go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Supply chain resilience, of course, as I said, if it's not available, customer will not buy. Cost predictability also. But the most underrated is that the rare earth magnets and the rare earth minerals are really critical for countries existence. I would say, the country's infrastructure existence, not the country existence in political way. So if you have a technology which can take you out of it, it gives you that much power over your own future. So that's why it's underrated. You don't see people talking about it. Now they are. You see in US they are, but that's in a lot of other places people don't understand that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving on. So, your favorite place to ideate tech breakthroughs? A. Long solo drive. B. The airport lounge, since you travel a lot. C. Whiteboard in the lab. Or D. Global conferences.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking because since I'm traveling so much, it would be between solo drive or airport lounge. I would
Mhm.
go with solo drive.
Mhm. That's more of a me time that you have, minus the noise
Yeah,
that would be on the airport lounge.
yeah, that's true.
Okay. So, the book that shaped your thinking on tech plus strategy. A. The Innovator's Dilemma. B. 0 to 1. C. The Big Switch or The Grid.
This would be the innovator's dilemma. I think that fits exactly what we are doing, and uh, it's a case study. I think according to that book.
Okay, okay. So moving on to you, Mr. Himanshu. Here's the first question. So the most critical trait for scaling manufacturing innovation is A, process discipline, B, listening to shop floor, C, predicting future demand, or D, partner selection.
All the above. You can't have four, you need all four wheels to run the car ahead. It's quite difficult to pick one because it won't work otherwise, to be honest.
But let's say if you are supposed to start it in a process, which one would you pick first?
I think in a process, if you don't have a right partner, it will not start.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it has to start with the right partner, but then eventually you need discipline in process. You need to have a ear to the shop floor. You need to have awareness of what's going to come in the future. And I think a partner brings even a support in the toughest times. And I think that's why for scaling manufacturing innovation, you need to start with the right partner, but then you need all three for sure.
Okay, so in order for the chain reaction to go right, the
Yes,
option D, partner selection, would be your choice.
absolutely.
Okay. So when not transforming factories, you're most likely A, sketching automation layouts, B, mentoring engineers, C, watching Formula E, or D, hiking.
Mentoring engineers, because if I'm not doing work, I would not like to be doing anything of layouts and of watching Formula E probably. But yeah, I think mentoring engineers, but not in terms of engineering. I am probably going to speak. Normally I end up speaking with students a lot on mentoring on life skills. I think that's something which I do passionately in many colleges as well. So yeah, mentoring on life skills to future engineers.
Mhm. So no hiking on the cards.
Unfortunately, not yet.
Okay. So what makes a good MOU great? A, shared vision, B, clear deliverables, C, mutual risk taking, or D, people chemistry.
I think people chemistry hands down. I think when the people chemistry matches, you end up taking risk mutually. You have clearly defined deliverables when because you both parties communicate very clearly and transparently. I think the communication is very important. And to be honest, with Manish also, we have had in our previous projects, we have had our tough talks, we have had our tough challenges, customers challenge we overcame together. And I think that's essential. To forge a strong relationship, you need that heat, and it's only that because of a strong people chemistry we could come out of that. And I think that's what makes our MOU really significant, because we have seen our good and bad days. And I think that's something which then makes you believe that we can handle the business very well together, because we have seen both sides of the coin already.
Mhm.
So people chemistry for sure.
Great. Okay, that was a really fun rapid fire round. I hope you guys like the questions.
Yes, thank you.
Was
So,
perfect. Yeah.
thank you. So, Mr. Manish, you've seen innovation from both the big OEMs and now through a startup lens. So, is there this one leadership trait that you never saw at those big corporations, but you've now made a core value at Volektra?
It's a good question. You know, I would put it like this. In big corporations, you know, since they are big, right? So their technical brilliance is there, Six Sigma, manufacturing, all of that is available, and they are pretty successful.
Mm-hmm.
The thing which misses, and it is because in big organization, you have a lot of things to lose if there is a wrong decision. So there is a lot of pressure as well. So
Mm-hmm.
everything moves at alignment. You need to align, and move. But at Volactra, we have something which I say, intellectual urgency, for
Mm-hmm.
example,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you move at a speed of light, or let's say you move at a speed of insight. Rather than aligning, you have an insight. Okay, here should we do it? You quickly make it and move ahead. So the most important thing is to keep moving ahead. That's what I have made it. It does not matter, and these are the things which companies have done. You can take a decision. If it's a reversible decision, take it fast and move ahead. Keep moving ahead. Don't wait. Wait is waste. That is something which we have implemented at Volactra. And of course, when you do that, everything has to be intellectual and technologically, sound. Those are the two things. And insights. If you have a insight which can be backed by
Mm-hmm.
some uh, you know, uh, intellectual curiosity, or let's say by some intellect, then
Mm-hmm.
we take a risk and move ahead, like Imanshu mentioned, taking risk. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the two things. I'll say intellectual urgency and moving at a speed of insight is something which we have at Volactra. At
Mm-hmm.
large organizations, I have not seen that. It does not mean that they don't want to. It's just it's very difficult to implement it. That's why startups are there, right? They go very fast. They can move fast. It's like commando versus an army.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Less paperwork.
Yeah, less paperwork, quick decision making, moving fast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Mr. Himanshu, as you said that when you're not working, you will be mentoring engineers. So, let's assume a scenario that you're sitting with your 22-year-old self at Tata Motors, a graduate engineer trainee. So, what would be a piece of advice that you would give to that version of yourself today?
I think I should have started this entrepreneurial kind of journey earlier. Uh, from I think knowing what I know about myself now, which if I look back and I have to tell my own self of 22 years old, I would have advised you're going to be good in starting some kind of business association, forging relationships, stringing together partnerships. So get out earlier and from big corporates and start doing things in this way. That's for sure. I would have told my own self, having known myself now better.
Okay, great. So I have one last one for both of you. So let's say the next generation of electric mobility leaders should remember that. I want you guys to complete this sentence one by one. So the next generation of electric mobility leaders should remember that.
Should remember that you need to control your own destiny and not be dependent on others for your future.
Mhm. And Mr. Himanshu?
Forging partnerships is the only way of collaborative working for future. I think gone are the days when one company could create an iPhone and say that's a unique product on its own and stick to it. I think the future is collaborative working. And I think that's something even in electric mobility, what we are seeing is we can't work in series, we can't work in silos, we have to work collaborative. And I think more collaborative approach will make it, will make this electric revolution success for sure.
That's great. So, from strategic autonomy to magnet-free motors, today's conversation wasn't just about innovation. It was about independence, intent, and impact that you intend to create. So, thank you, Mr. Himanshu and Mr. Manish, for taking us behind the scenes of this transformative partnership that you've just forged. So, again, thank you so much. And here's to a world that moves cleaner, faster, and freer.
Thank you, Divya. Thanks, Manish.
Thank you.
Thank you, Divya. Himanshu.